Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are seeing in this wonderful chapter of the Varahadev's appearance and his rescuing of Mother Earth. And now let's continue from where we left. It is 13th chapter, 27th sloka. Utshiptavalan Utshiptavalah ka chara kato raha sata viduhvan kararomasa romashatvak kuru kurahatha barha sitatamstra iksha jyotir babhase bhagavan Mahidara. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with uh, his hooves and his glittering white tusks. Purport. When the Lord is offered prayers by his devotees, his transcendental activities are described. Here are some of the transcendental features of Lord Boar. As the residents of the upper three planetary systems offered their prayers to the Lord, it is understood that his body expanded throughout the sky. Beginning from the topmost planet Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, it is stated in Brahma Samhita that his eyes are the sun and the moon. So we have this shloka yet chakshuresha savita sakala graham. So this at least the Lord's this one was chakshur, whose eyes are savita, like the sun, you know. Savita is moon, and then Raja's Suramurti Rasesha Teja. So it actually talks about sun and then moon also. Like one eye is the sun and one eye is the moon. So like even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord describes this particular aspect. Okay. So therefore, his very glance over the sky was as illuminating as the sun or the moon. The Lord is described herein as Mahidaraha, which means either a big mountain or the sustainer of the earth. Mahi Yasham, like Mahi. This Mahi is like what is that? In many places, this comes. This is also meaning to like the earth, and Dara means like sustainer or sometimes even to holder. We can use that word. Okay. So, in other words, the Lord's body was as big and hard as the Himalayan mountains. Otherwise, how was it possible that he kept the entire earth on the support of his white tusks? So, here somebody may ask, okay, Himalayan mountain is there in the earth, and how can even somebody be there on the size of Himalayan mountain can lift the earth? But actually, we have the greater Himalayas, which is much greater than the earth itself. So, which is an extension from the Mount Meru, which actually comes, which is greater Himalayas are there, which is much bigger than the Earth itself. So a portion of that extension is what we are seeing in the Earth, and the conception of Vedic cosmology. So wherein the Earth is, it's an entity which is situated on the ground and which is not moving like what the planetary systems it is talked about. So in that way, it has this connection the Himalayas of our earthly planet has a connection to the greater Himalayas, so which continues in the mountain ranges towards the Mount Meru. So in that way, like we see that no Himalayan mountain, as big as Himalayan mountain, means Lord is not just some chota Himalayan ranges in which is there in the earthly planet. It is the greater Himalayas, like which can even hold the Mother Earth on its surface. Okay, so otherwise, how was it possible that he kept the entire earth on the support of his white tusks? So the poet Jayadev, a great devotee of Lord, has sung of this incident in his prayer for the incarnations. Vasati dashana shikare dharani tavalagna sashini kalanka kaleva nimagna keshavadruta sukara rupa jaya jagadisha hare. Right, so this is all glories to Lord Keshava Krishna, who appeared as the boar. The earth was held between his tusks, which appeared like the scars on the moon. Right, so this like the whole earth was carried by him. Okay, text 28. Grananena prithvyah padavim vijigrhan krodapa deshah swayam advaranga karala damstropi akarala drigyam udpiksha vipran granato vishatkam. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet, because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee Brahmanas engaged in offering prayers. Thus, he entered the water. So, if we see this water that is mentioned here is the Garbhodaka ocean. So, as we all know that Garbhodakshay Vishnu, so he appeared, and once the universe is emanated from the Mahavishnu, so then Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters, and then he perspires, starts perspiring, and the perspiration water fills the half of the universe, and rest half is where the 14 planetary systems are there. So now, because Lord is entering this water, so this water by nature it is like perspiration water, which is a filthy water, and just to enter the filthy water, so Lord takes an appropriate form of a hog, of a pig. That's how this particular form has been conceived by the Lord, and so here we see that like people are offering prayers, so they are Lord is giving a nice merciful glance towards them, and then like he has taken this body of a hog, so he is like finding out the Mother Earth by smell. So all that is doing in very nice way. Purport: we should always remember that although the body of a hog is material, the hog form of the Lord was not materially contaminated. It is not possible for an earthly hog to assume a gigantic form spreading throughout the sky, beginning from the Saktiloka. His body is always transcendental in all circumstances. Therefore, the assumption of the form of a boar is only his pastime. His body is all Vedas. This is Veda Swarupa, like the what is that? Yajna Purusha, and also Veda Swarupa, like the body of Varahadev. So even the like Brahmanas who worship the Lord. So Varahadev is worshipped for few important aspects. So one is like these days it has become very popular, Bhuvaraha Swami, and then if the people have any problem in land purchase, construction, and things like that, they worship Varahadev. So another important place Varahadev is worshipped is in the Veda Patshalas, where like study of the Vedas. Where first of all they offer worship to Varahadev because he is considered to be the like embodiment of all the Vedas. So his body is all Vedas. In fact, it is mentioned when he was zooming in the sky. So the bodily, we get that when some fast object is going, like, we get that zoom sound. So when he was going, like, all the Vedic sound was emanating from this zooming, right? So in that way, his body is all Vedas or transcendental. Okay, but since he had assumed the form of a boar, he began to search out the earth by smelling just like a hog. The Lord can perfectly play the part of any living entity. The gigantic feature of the boar was certainly very fearful for all non-devotees, but to the pure devotees of the Lord, he was not at all fearful. On the contrary, he was so pleasingly glancing upon his devotees that all of them felt transcendental happiness. So here we see that one important principle that we studied in Bhagavad Gita, a few like a month back or something like that. So there we saw that in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions this particular aspect that Janma karma chame divyam yovam evam yo veti tattvataha. So in the Transcendental Knowledge, the chapter was named Transcendental Knowledge, and this is the primary transcendental knowledge that Lord was giving. So just by understanding that the Lord, his birth, his body, his activities and everything is beyond the material nature, so one can attain the same spiritual nature. That is how powerful is this knowledge. And here, when we are by the assistance of the acharyas, like when we study these pastimes, we understand that although the Lord is assuming different forms, so we are constantly reminded, saying that this is not an ordinary body, this is a transcendental body. And this is very, very important, for us to keep constantly reminded of this particular aspect, that this is transcendental body. Right? And then here, another aspect is mentioned is, it is quite fearful now for non-devotees, for like such a gigantic body of the Lord and then roaring and stuff like that. It's very, very fearful. So there is nice shloka which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions. He says that Ugropi Anugraha Evayam, Keshariva Swapothanam. What is that? Anyway, so this he says that like when he goes to South Indian Yatra, so that time, he actually goes to various this one Narsimha temples. So there, I think it is in Simhachalam. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes there, so there he mentions this Ugropi Anugraha Evayam. And that means Ugropi, like although the form of the Lord is Ugra, it is very, very fearsome. Ugropi Anugrahan Evayam Swabhaktanam Nakeshari. So this Narakeshari, that is half man, half lion, he is very fearsome looking. But then Anugraha, he is not very fearsome for his Swabhaktanam. For his own devotees, he is not at all terrific. And then Keshari was Swapothanam, for the lioness, for its own cub. So it is not fearful for its own cubs. So Anyecha Ugra Vikrama. If I remember the shloka right, Anyecha Ugra Vikrama. So like for others, he is very, very the lioness is very fearsome. So for other living entities in the forest, but for its own cub, the lioness is very, very kind. So in that way, we see that this is a constant feature that we will see when the non-devotees see the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. It becomes very difficult for them. For them, it is a very fearful thing. So in fact, what to speak of a form like Varahadev, where he was extending throughout the sky, and then he's so big and fearful and things like that. So Krishna's form is considered to be the most attractive form, and tender form, and he's Navayavvanam, he's always 16 years old. And then in fact, when Krishna's picture was drawn when he was lifting Govardhan, so some devotee drew with muscles, and then Prabhupada told that no, Krishna doesn't require muscles to lift Govardhan. He has tender body, right? So, and so this, when Krishna entered the wrestling arena, we see that we have discussed this shloka often. Mallanam asne nrinam naravarai strinam smaro murtiman gopanam swajano ashatam shiti bujam shasta swapitaro sushuhu mrittur bojapater mrittur bojapater virad avidusham tattvam param yogina Vrishninam paradevate vidito rangam gata sagraja. So here, Krishna is along with his agraja, he is entering into rangam gata, he is entering into the wrestling arena, and different people are able to see Krishna is entering, and different people are getting different conception of Krishna. So Mallana Machnir, for all the wrestlers there, he is looking like the thunderbolt, and he is going to pounce on us, and then he is going to finish us. And then Nrinam Narava, right? For the common people, he was looking like he's the best of the living beings, or he's the best of the human beings. And then Strinam Swaro Murtiman. So for the women, he's like very, very attractive, like Kamadev. And then no Gopanam Swajana, for like all the Gopas who have come from Vrindavan, so they are seeing like no eto hamara gaon ka aadmi hai. And then no Asatam Shitibujam Shastra, like for all the miscreant kings, no Krishna was looking like no Shastra, or the controller, or the chastiser, right? So it is the same 16-year-old boy and having tender bodily parts, but for somebody who's looking like this one, and like it is different people are seeing in different ways. And Swapitaro Sushivu, so for his own parents, like he was looking like a small boy. And then Mrityur Bhojapater, for Bhojpati, that is Kamsa. No, for him, no, the Lord was looking like death personified. No, mera mot aa gaya abhi. So it was looking like this one. And then Virat Abhidusham. So like for people who are attracted to the Virata Roop, so Krishna was looking like Virata Roop. And then Tattvam Param Yoginam. So for all those people who are meditating on the impersonal Brahman, no, Krishna was looking like that Brahmajyoti chalke aa rahe. And then Vrishni Nam Paradevateti, like, for Vrishnis, he was looking like their worshipable Lord. And in this way, like, Krishna enters into the wrestling arena along with his Agraja, along with his, elder brother Balram. So we see that the Lord appears fearful for non-devotees, and he is appearing very, very pleasing to his devotees. This is a feature that constantly it is there. It be a gigantic form or a very fearsome form like Narsinghadev, or a very appealing form like Krishna. No, whatever it is, non-devotees cannot tolerate the form of Krishna. It is very difficult for them. Text 29. Savrajat Kutanga Nipata Vega Vishirna Kaushi, Kukshihi Stanayan Udanman Utsrishta Dirgormi Bujair Ivartas Chukrosha Igneshwara Pahi Meti. Diving into the water like a giant mountain, Lord Bor divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord, O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me into two. Kindly give me protection. So Lord is like gigantic form, he's just entering into the water. Purport. Even the great ocean was perturbed by falling off the mountain-like body of Transcendental Boar, and it appeared to be frightened as if death were imminent. So here it is nicely mentioned, the graphic picture also. So when we have seen, like if you throw any stone or anything like that, so two big two big what do you call that, ripples, like big ripples that comes out. The first ripples, like that's kind of it's looking like raising the arms, and here it's nicely graphically mentioned that when the Lord was plunging into the water, this plunge that came out, it looked like what, hands calling out, oh my Lord, please save me. So it's nicely, poetically, graphically, it is put down. The text 30. Kurair Shaura Kurair Shaura Prair Darayam Stadapa Utparaparam Triparu Rasayam Dadarshakam Tatra Sushu Sur Agre Yam Jivadanim Swayam Adyadatta. Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place of all living beings, lying as it was in the beginning of creation, and he personally lifted it. Purport. The word Rasayam is sometimes interpreted to mean Rasatala, the lowest planetary system, but that is not applicable in this connection, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The Earth is 7 times superior to the other planetary systems, namely Tala, Atala, Talatala, Vitala, Rasatala, Patal, etc. Therefore, the Earth cannot be situated in the Rasatal planetary system. It is described in the Vishnu Dharma, Patala Muleshwara Boga Samhato Vinyasya Padau Prithivim Cha Bibratah Yasyopamano Na Babuva Sochato Mama Mamastu Mangalya Vivrudaye Harihi. Therefore, the Lord found the earth on the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean, where the planets rest during the devastation or at the end of Brahma's day. No, he is. It's we can see that. So anything that is lower, no, that is called as rasatal. No, that's some kind of an indication. So no, niche pada hua tha. So niche matlab like sab kuch niche hi like. So rasatal, like no, they just use this word rasatal, sometimes patal. So just to indicate that it is in the bottom. So but then it is literally not there in the rasatal planet, but it was there in the bottom of Garbhodaka ocean. And here we are also getting one more information. So these planetary systems, like they rest in the bottom of Garbhodaka ocean in the beginning of creation. So that is also one information we are getting here. It takes 31. Swadam Strayodar Pritya Mahim Nimagnam Savuttitha Samruruche Rasayah Tatrapi Daityam Gadaya Patat Tantam Sunaba Sandipita Tibra Manyuhu. The Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusk and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then his anger, glowing like the Sudarshan wheel, he immediately killed demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Vedic literatures describe the incarnation of Lord Varaha Boar in two different devastations, namely the Chakshusha devastation and Swayambhuva devastation. So that we saw that one is the Sveta Varaha and then another is the Rakta Varaha. So there's two different in Chakshusha Manvantara and then Swayambhuva Manvantara. So like in two millenniums, this like Lord appeared, and in both of them, different variations of the pastime is there. But here in Bhagavatam, it's both are mixed and given. So sometimes devotee becomes ecstatic and he starts describing, so he starts remembering the Lord's activities in various millenniums, and then he starts describing, and here, it is happening like that. So the particular appearance of the boar incarnation actually took place in the Swayambhuva devastation, when all planets other than the higher ones, Jana, Mahar and Satya, merged in water of devastation. So that means higher planetary systems are there. So from this earthly planetary system means actually it is not just the small piece of earth that we are thinking. Now in some cases it is also mentioned that whole of earth crust, including all the lower seven planetary systems, were put inside this one. I heard that I have not seen in Vrindavan there is a temple of Varahadev where there is a disc is there, on his tusk. Instead of a globe, there is a disc is there. So disk means like the whole of earth crust, which is like a cylinder. So on the surface, we have this 7 concentric circles, and then the middle concentric circle is the Jambudvipa, and where the, in one of the, this one, Varshas, like, Bharata Varsha is there, and things like that. So that is like a small portion. So sometimes people actually say that, okay, this small piece of earth, which is spherical in nature, or in size, like that was put inside the water. And sometimes, like it is mentioned, the whole earth crust was put, the whole thing was toppled below. So the whole earth crust, it is like the lower planetary system. All the lower planetary systems are described in Bhagavatam 5th canto as subterranean heavenly planets. That means like a Bilva Swarga, it is called as Bilva Swarga, which Bilva means like it is, it's kind of subterranean, it is below the terrain, and it's like Bilva. And this is all full one cylinder. One cylinder of earth crust is the 7 planetary systems. So Pura, like it was fallen into the water, and the Lord actually lifted a disc, and then he placed it back. So it was mentioned that this Anantasesh, on the tip of his head, he holds this whole earth crust, of the like lower 7 planetary systems, and the top surface of this cylinder is the this one. What is it? The Earth planet, or the Bhumandala. And then the Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, these demons were so powerful. No, they were what is that? Digging into this ocean, the digging into this earth under the earth, and they created this all this subterranes and things like that. And the Diggajas, like four elephants, they actually balance the whole cylinder. No, so the point of contact is the below. What is the foundation? The foundation is the tip of the head of Anantasesh, and the whole earth crust is staying, and it will be like wobbling, right? So it is just the center point is like at one point, the whole disc. Sometimes people actually play this disc game, right? So they keep a plate kind of this kind of a thing, and then they roll on the tip of a finger. So something like that, this whole earth crust is standing on the tip of the head of Anantasesh. It's one point contact in the center. So like the Diggajas, like four powerful elephants, they actually stand on four different directions on the top of this cylinder, and they actually balance the whole thing. And this Hiranyaksha was like doing such kind of drilling into the earth. So the elephants also they got misplaced, or the balance that went out of power, and then the whole earth crust fell into the Garbhodaka ocean. So that is also one explanation is there. So anyways, like Lord actually lifted the whole thing, right? So here we see that only the Jana, Mahar and Satya, like only the top planetary system, which is which is intact, and the lower planetary system, the earth crust, whole of the earth crust was fallen into the water. So that is also one of the versions. Okay, so this particular incarnation of boar was seen by inhabitants of the planets mentioned above. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the sage Maitreya amalgamated both the boar incarnations in different devastations and summarized them in description to Vidura. So he described both of them, into this one. So in one time it was only the earth, so that was like a small spherical in nature. And another time, like it was the whole earth crust was like pushed into this one. So both descriptions are there. Okay. So next, look at 32. Jagana Vrundanam Ahasya Vikramam Salilayabhyam Mrigarad Ivambasi Tadrakta Pankan Kita Ganda Tundo Yata Gajendro Jagatim Vibindan. Thereupon Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging the purple earth. Text 33. Tamala Neelam Sitadanta Kotya Kshamam Ukshipantam Gaja Leelayanga Prajnaya Baddhan Jalayo no Vakair Virinchi Mukya Upatas Sur Isham. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusk. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of Tamala tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord. Text 34. Rishya Uchuhu Jitam Jitam Te Jita Yajna Bhavana Trayim Tanum Swam Paridunvate Namaha Yadroma Garpeshu Nilalyur Adyayas Tasmai Namah Karana Sukarayathe. All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifice, all glories and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body, the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. Purport. The Lord can assume any form he likes, and in all circumstances, he is the cause of all causes. Since his form is transcendental, he is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he is in the causal ocean in the form of Mahavishnu. Innumerable universes generate from the holes of his bodily hairs, and thus his transcendental body is the Vedas personified. He is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and he is the unconquerable supreme personality of Godhead. He is never to be misunderstood to be other than the supreme, so other than the Supreme Lord, because of his assuming the form of a boar to lift the earth. That is clear understanding of sages and great personalities like Brahma and other residents of the higher planetary systems. So here we see that like we get the Praman, Sadhu Praman, and we have that Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra. So this is the Praman system, and it is not just the way when we read this description, we also see that Brahma and all the other great personalities, they understood the Lord as a transcendental person. So it is not that like we ourselves are telling, it is Sadhu Brahman is there here. So that, and also Brahma also comes in the category of Guru Varga. So Guru Brahman is also there. So in that way, like we can see that this is very authentic, that to understand the body of the Lord as transcendental. Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame Vidyam, Divyam. So that is the Shastra Praman, and then here we see the Sadhu Praman. So in this way, like we should understand the scriptures. So based on these, different Pramans, Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra. Okay, text 35. Rupam Tavaitan Nanu Dushkrithan Tatmanam Durdarshanam Devayad Advarat Makam Chandam Shiyasya Kvachit Barhi Romashav Ajyam Drishi Tva Angireshu Chaturhotram. O Lord, your form is worshipable by the performances of sacrifices. But souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass, in your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your four legs are the four kinds of fruitive activities. So here we are seeing that the Lord is described as the personification of the Yagyas. So the Yagya Purusha. In the Yagya, like a very important thing is that kusha grass is very important. So kusha grass is on which like they sit also, and on they use this grass for performing various kriyas in the Yagya. And then there is clarified butter. Ghee is a very, very important element in this one. And it is mentioned your eyes are the clarified butter. And then the Gayatri, so there are many Gayatris are chanted while offering the Ahuti. So in this way, like the Vedic hymns and Gayatri, all these things, it is mentioned the touch of the skin. So the Lord's skin is the Vedic hymns. In this way, like Lord Varaha is described as the Yagya Purusha. He is the Yagya Purusha, and all very graphically, it is described about his various bodily parts being the various angas of the Yagya. Purport: there is a class of miscreants who are known in the words of Bhagavad Gita as Vedavadi. Vedavada Ratapata, it comes in this one, Bhagavad Gita, or the so-called strict followers of the Vedas. They do not believe in the incarnation of the Lord. What to speak of Lord's incarnation as worshipable hog? They describe worship of the different forms or incarnations of Lord as anthropomorphism. So that means worshipping some kind of a living entity. You just pick up any living entity and then you worship him as God. So that's called anthropomorphism. In the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, these men are miscreants, and in Bhagavad Gita 7:15, they are called not only miscreants but as the fools and the lowest of mankind. Namam dushkritino muda prapadyante naradama, like Maya apahita jnana ashram bhavam ashrita, right? And it is said that their knowledge has been plundered by illusion due to their atheistic temperament. Maya apahita jnana. So there it's like their knowledge has been plundered or stolen away by Maya. For such condemned persons, the Lord's incarnation as the gigantic hog is invisible. These strict followers of the Vedas who despite the despise the eternal forms of the Lord may know from Srimad Bhagavatam that such incarnations are personified forms of Vedas. The Lord both skin, his eyes, and his bodily hair holes are all described here as different parts of the Vedas. He is therefore the personified form of Vedic hymns and specifically the Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra is the form of the Lord, so it's like the personification of the Gayatri Mantra. Text 36. Shrakunda asit Shruva Isha Nashayor Idodare Chamasa Karnarandre Prasitram Ashe Grasani Grahastute Yacharvanam Te Bhagavan Agnihotram. O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice. Your nostril is another plate of sacrifice. In your belly is the eating plate of sacrifice, and another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth is the Brahma plate of sacrifice. Your throat is a plate of sacrifice known as Shoma, and whatever you chew is known as Agnihotra. Just a minute, I'll just power on my system. Okay, so till the time we get power, so we will continue. Purport. The Vedavadis say that there is nothing more than Vedas and performance of sacrifice mentioned in the Vedas. They have recently made a rule in their group to formally observe daily sacrifices. They simply ignite a small fire and offer something whimsically, but they do not strictly follow the sacrificial rules and regulations mentioned in the Vedas. It is understood that by regulation there are different plates of sacrifice required, such as Shrak, Shruva, Barhis, Chaturhotra, Ida, Chamasa, and Prasitra, Graha, and Agnihotra. So one cannot achieve the results of sacrifice unless one observes the strict regulations. In this age, there is practically no facility for performing sacrifices in strict discipline. Therefore, in this age of Kali, there is a stricture regarding such sacrifices, right? So what is that stricture? It is mentioned that, what is it? Ashwamedam Gavalambam, Sanyasham Palapaitrikam, Devarena Sutotpatti, Kalau Pancha Vivarjayet. So it is mentioned that these sacrifices, yogic sacrifices, cannot be performed in a strict way. Like, people want some kind of show of yajna, and then like there are people who will come and do some fire sacrifice and go, which is not the prescribed method. And for a proper fire sacrifice, we see that like so many different plates are required, so many different offerings are required, and if we know all the procedures, it is it is not at all possible for us to execute all these procedures. Sometimes like log बुलाते हैं पंडित को, पंडित जी like जल्दी से करा दीजिए, 5 मिनट में करा दीजिए जो भी कर दे. So then it becomes like in 5 minutes what they can do, or I'm just telling 5 minutes, आधा घंटा like 45 minutes like you just फटाफट कुछ कर दीजिए, So and बहुत कुछ है like हमको करने के लिए. So in this way like we see that this one. The sacrifices, the yajnas cannot be performed properly, in this age. So that is why it is mentioned. Let's read that. It is explicitly directed that one should perform Sankirtan yajna and nothing more. So every day we are reading here. So this is a performance of yajna. We are coming together, and then this is the authorized yajna that needs to be performed in this Kali Yuga. One is the chanting the names of the Lord, and then Bhagavat Shravan. So it is mentioned like. In Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions this, that Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Maturava Srimurtir Shraddhaya Sevan. So these are the 5 potent forms of devotional service, 5 powerful yajna. So Sadhu Sangha, like coming in association of devotees, just like how we are coming together. So this is also an yajna. And then Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, like Sankirtan, chanting the names of the Lord and coming together and doing Kirtan. And then, today is Friday, like I'll pass on this information. So every Friday we have in the evening this Bhajan Sandhya, at I don't remember the exact time. So I will forward the message in the reading group. So we can attend that. So like Nam Sankirtan, right? So Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan. So that we are trying to do. We are trying to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Mathura Vas, to reside in a place. If we can reside in Mathura, Vrindavan, that is very nice. Otherwise, we should reside in a place where no Krishna consciousness is prominent. Where we should set up our home in such a way that Lord is the master, and Lord is like everything happens in the home is for the service of the Lord. Then it becomes Mathuravas. And then Sri Murtir Shradhaya Sevan. So we should have the Lord's forms as the pictures or the Murti, and then we should render service, like very nice service to them, like nice offer nice boga to the Lord, offer nice decorations to the Lord, and things like that. So in this way, this is the powerful, very very powerful forms of yajna. So this fire sacrifice, this is not recommended thing in the Kali Yuga, and it is just in fact in the beginning of Bhagavatam. So all the sages of Naimisharanya, they are trying to do fire sacrifice, and when Sutta Goswami comes, like they call Sutta Goswami saying that no, it's very good that you have come. We have become black by performing this fire sacrifice. Kali Dua nikal, and we are not able to make any tangible progress. You speak Bhagavatam. So while hearing Bhagavatam, we will make tremendous progress. That is this one that makes the very nice onset for the beginning of the Bhagavatam. So Sankirtan Yajna has to be performed, right? So that is very important. Okay. So the incarnation of Supreme Lord as Igneshwara, and unless one has respect for the incarnation of the Lord, he cannot perfectly perform sacrifices, right? So the Lord has appeared in the Varahadev as the Igneshwara, and then unless he has the respect for the incarnation of the Lord, he cannot perform the sacrifice. So like Prabhupada is continuing this Kandana of the Vedavadaratas. So like these people are very strict followers of Vedas, but they don't accept the form of the Lord. They say like everything is Brahman, or Lord doesn't have a form. So if they don't have the respect for Igneshwara, like what Yajna they can perform? They cannot do any Yajna. So in other words, taking shelter of the Lord and rendering service unto him is the factual performance of all sacrifices, as explained herein. Different plates of sacrifice corresponds to different parts of the body of Lord's incarnation. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, it is explicitly directed that one should perform Sankirtan Yajna, to please the Lord's incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Pasha Krishnam, like Sangopangastra Parshadam, Yajna Sankirtana prior, Yajanti Sumedasaha. In this age of Kali, Yajna Sankirtana prior, and people, Yajanti Sumedasaha, people of Sumeda, like good intelligence, they will perform the Sankirtan Yajna to please this Krishna Varna Tusha Krishnam, right? So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so here to please him, so intelligent people will perform Sankirtan Yajna. Other people will be performing fire yajnas. So this should be rigidly followed in order to achieve the result of yajna performance. So in ISKCON also we perform fire yajna just to pacify the people in general. But in fact, in fire yajna also we will keep on chanting the kirtan only, the Lord's names only, and Bhagavad slokas and Lord's holy names are invoked. So in that way, the fire sacrifice in itself is not this one in ISKCON priests, like when we call for Yajna. So we have this kind of this one, they chant all the holy name and then the appropriate this one. So just to pacify people, kuch to, Agnihotra is performed. So, but then actual Yajna is performed is Sankirtan Yajna over there. So in that way we can trick people also. Okay. So text 37. Dikshanu janmo pasada shirodharam tvam prayaniyo dayaniya damshritaha jitva pravargyas tava shirshakam krotaho satyavasatyam chitayosva hithe. Moreover, O Lord, the reputation of your appearance is the desire of all kinds of initiation. The reputation, okay. Lord, the reputation of your appearance is the desire for all kinds of initiation. Your neck is the place for three deities, and your tusks are the result of initiation and the end of all desires. Your tongue is prior activities of initiation, purascharya, and then your head is the fire without like a fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship, and your living forces are the aggregate of all desires. I don't have much of understanding of this sloka. So, anyways, Prabhupada also has not given purport. So, we will continue further. Text 38. Somastureta swananan navastitihi samstha vivedas tavadeva datavaha satrani sarvani sharira sandesh tvam sarvayajna kratur ishta bandanaha. O Lord, your semen is the sacrifice called Soma Yajna. Your growth is the ritualistic performance of the morning. Your skin and touch sensation are the 7 elements of Agnishtoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by the yajnas only. Purport. There are 7 kinds of routine yajnas performed by all followers of Vedic rituals, and they are called Agnishtoma, Atyagnishtoma, um, Ukta, Sodashi, and Vajapeya, Atiratra, and Aptoryama. Anyone performing such yajnas regularly is supposed to be situated with the Lord. But anyone who is in contact with the Supreme Lord by discharging devotional service is understood to have performed all different varieties of yajnas. Okay. So by performing the devotional service of Bhagavat, Shravan, Nama, Sankirtan, so we know we will be able to attain the same kind of result as performing all these various yajnas. Text 39. Namo namaste kila mantra devata dravyaya sarva kritave kriyatmane vairagya bhaktyatma jayatma nu bhavita jnanaya vidya gurave namo namaha. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of Knowledge in devotional service. Purport. The qualification of bhakti or devotional service to the Lord is that the devotee should be free from all material contaminations and desires. Sarvo padi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam, right? So rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. So the qualification to perform bhakti means one has to be free from all contaminations. So as we have many times discussed, initially when we try to perform bhakti, actual bhakti is not happening. Only purification of heart is happening. And with the purified heart, when we render service, that is actually called bhakti, right? So till then it is not bhakti, it is just the purification of heart is happening. It's just like sometimes we took the example of a small child trying to walk, like, oh, if he's able to walk, that itself is a big thing, If he can do some work by walking, that is second level. So first thing that happens is learning to walk. And then after that, this one will happen, some work will happen. The same way, like when we try to learn two-wheeler or four-wheeler and no ground mein jaake chalata hai, there is no work done. There is tangibly, like, there is nothing useful that is happening, but the practice is happening. So in the same way, the first effect of like practicing the angas of bhakti is the purification of heart. And then once the purification of heart is there, when the kama, krodha, lobha, all these things are gone away from the heart, when we attain the stage of the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na Soshati, na Kankshati, then that is the platform, na Soshati, na Kankshati, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktin Lavate Param. I think so. So there it is mentioned, that is the platform of rendering bhakti, right? So bhakti, platform of rendering bhakti means like completely in purified state, in the Brahman state or Brahma Bhuta state. That is a state in which bhakti can be performed. So what we are trying to perform in the initial stages is for our purification. Now we are reading Bhagavatam, and if we have some material desires in our heart, so this is not exactly offering pleasure to Krishna, but then Krishna is also pleased. Heart purification to over, like kabhi na kabhi to, like he will recite the Bhagavatam with purified heart, and that time Krishna will feel the pleasure of this one, and that time it's really bhakti, right? Okay, this freedom is called Vairagya, or renouncement of material desires. One who engages in devotional service to the Lord according to regulated principles is automatically freed from material desires, and in that pure state of mind, one can realize the supreme personality of Godhead, the personality of Godhead being situated in everyone's heart. No, Sarvasya Chaham Hridaya Sannivishta, instructs the devotee regarding pure devotional service so that he may ultimately achieve the association of the Lord. So here it's mentioned about instruction, and in the Bhagavatam we also see that no Shanvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Surutsatam. So like the Lord cleansing the heart or Lord instructing from within, right? So both the things are synonymous actually. So this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10 as follows: Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yoham tam. No, Krishna is telling dadami, I'll give. No, what he will give? Buddhi yogam. No, he'll give the intelligence. So enamam upayantite, how to come, how to reach to him. No, he will give the intelligence. No, for that. To one who constantly engages in devotional service of the Lord with faith and love, the Lord certainly gives the intelligence to achieve him at the ultimate end. One has to conquer the mind, and one may do it by following the Vedic rituals and performing different types of sacrifice. The ultimate end of all those performance is to attain bhakti or devotional service to the Lord. Without bhakti, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The original personality of Godhead or his innumerable expansions of Vishnu, they are only objects of worship by all Vedic rituals and sacrificial performances. Right? So Bhaktyamam Amijanati. So this point is very clear that only by bhakti we will be able to understand the Lord. And to properly perform bhakti, first of all, purification of heart is required. So when we perform the angas of bhakti, first purification of heart happens. And when with the purified senses, when we execute bhakti, no sarvapadi vinamuktam tatparatvena nirmala. So that state of execution will make us understand about the Lord, right? And then here it is mentioned that all the Vedic sacrifices, rituals, and everything, the whole and sole objective is to understand the Supreme Lord, right? So we have studied this shloka, right? That talks about Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu Vismartavyam Najatuchit Sarve Vidhi Nishedashur Etayoreva Kinkara. All the Vidhi Nisheda of the rules and regulations of the Vedic body of literatures or the Vedic rituals and sacrificial performances, it's all for this one purpose, no? Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu Vismartavyam Najatuchit. The central point is no Krishna consciousness. Okay, so I think we will stop here. Today I thought we will finish this chapter, but we couldn't able to. So we will finish tomorrow. We will finish this chapter and progress further. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much for joining. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.